Day 2 of Beltway Football taking on New Orleans. We are in Jackson Square. There's a lot of people around. This could definitely get weird. Let's have a podcast. What up, everybody? Welcome to Beltway Football, live in New Orleans, Jackson Square this time. Decided to switch it up a little bit for you. And if anything weird happens, Mitch, you're in charge.
That's why you get the big man with you. I'll run a little security at the same time.
You're getting cat calls as the big man out here, which is pretty darn entertaining. Of course, we're brought to you by MGM National Harbor. It's one of our favorite places to go. Honestly, MGM National Harbor is a good, preparation for New Orleans. This is a whole different ball of wax down here.
This is a whole nother ball of wax. I'm thankful that I haven't quite made it to the casino here.
Dude.
It's literally across the street from our hotel.
I know.
But what I know about this casino is it doesn't have all the accoutrement that MGM National Harbor has as far as restaurants and what's your pizza place late night, all those different things. The pizza place.
We've been really well behaved so far. I've been in bed by like 11 both nights. This is as close as we've gotten to the French Quarter, and I'm going to go back the opposite direction when we get done with the stream. We did hit media night, so that's kind of opening night of the Super Bowl, and I thought it was kind of boring, dude. Not the actual functionality of talking to players about a football game, but that has become like the sideshow to what media night is. You're expecting all the weirdos and people in costumes and stuff, and there really just wasn't that much of it.
Yeah, I mean, a couple years ago they opened up media night to fans. They started selling tickets to it, and it became more of a production than just a media availability, which it used to be.
There was pep bands.
There was a marching band. It's apparently the most famous marching band in the state of Louisiana.
St. Augustine.
I said to our photographer, Greg Abernathy, on the way in, when you see the band members with the chin straps on their helmets, they're doing like the full
they had
marching band things.
Bird suit thing.
Yeah, right.
That was not just a marching band. I know marching bands. That was the next level up.
It reminded me. I started in Greensboro, North Carolina. It reminded me a lot of those North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central marching bands.
It was a high school, I think.
It's a high school, which is a whole other thing.
Kerwin and I got stuck behind all the buses. And it had to break free of a high school bus parking lot. It was quite a scene.
I was shocked to hear that you were like, we're just going to go this way and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And guys, there's a ton of security all over the place here. Every corner there are cop cars and whatnot. The perimeter. JP's walking up to guys with long guns. And he's like, hey, can I squeeze by you?
The exaggerations are starting now.
Sure. Isn't that what we do from time to time?
From time to time, sure. Media night, I got to catch up with a couple of former Commanders players, Burgundy and Gold players. What team did Wentz play for? The football team?
I think Wentz was a football team member.
I don't think he was a Commander.
No, I think he was gone before the Commanders.
He might have been a Commander. 22, right?
Yeah.
So 24 was Jaden. 23
23
was Howell.
22 was Heineke.
No, 22 was Wentz.
22 was Wentz. You're right.
Yeah,
so he had 1 year. He was football team and Commander.
Commander Carson.
Good for him.
No, he was only Commander.
Oh, that's right. One season. Yeah. Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the football team was 20 and 21.
20 and 21, 22, yeah.
That was a fun walk down memory lane.
I mean, it's been odd trying to figure out all these different things, but
do you want to go to Commander Carson then?
Let's go to Commander Carson.
Obviously that was a weird year.
Yeah.
Played 6 games, got hurt, and then came back for one more and didn't deliver when I needed to, and so it all went fast on that front. But we had a great time. We enjoyed our time there. Again, a lot of good friendships and memories out there, and but after that unfolded, and now being at home for a while last year, and being a part of 2 really good organizations, 2 winning teams, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, and I've seen a lot. Whatever that's worth, I don't know. The future will decide all that stuff, but I'm grateful to be here in this moment with these guys, and it's a big part of the reason, and really the main reason why I wanted to come here this offseason was to win and be here in this moment and to be with Coach Reed and this winning culture.
Even back in D.C., you talked about the journey, being a part of it. How much does Andy Reid mean to you?
It means a lot. He means a lot, and I think, again, a big reason why I chose to come here was because of him and his success, but also his play calling ability, all the things that everybody in the media world and everybody else knows. But I get to see him on a personal level and get to know him, and he's in some of those meetings and all that stuff, and he's just a guy I've always respected, but now my respect's through the roof seeing him firsthand.
Did you see any of the success Washington did have this year? Jaden Daniels, any of your old teammates, just happy to see it?
I was pumped for him, especially like Zach Ertz, another guy, and seeing his success. Talked to him a lot, Terry McLaurin, all, still still stay in touch with those guys. Obviously, it looks different over there with the new coaching staff, all the new things over there. But I was excited to see them have some success for sure. And Jaden's a stud. It's clear as day. I think they got to go run out there.
So Greg just asked how was he. He's not the most charismatic fella, but one, I was surprised he remembered me and recognized me, and two, he seems a little humble. He's a nice person. I think he's misunderstood. I do think his assessment of his year in Washington, when he just said weird, was very accurate.
I think you could say weird for a lot of years between 1999 and 2022.
That guy agrees.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely weird.
It's been odd, and listen, there's some weird stuff happening around here, so sure. we're fighting through here. But I liked hearing Carson be happy. Is that the word you'd use for what the fans in Washington are getting with Jaden?
I
thought that was very cool.
Ertz and McLaurin, guys he's kind of kept up with. Ertz obviously he knew from Philly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's got to be happy. And then his assessment on Jaden, like everybody's assessment on Jaden, is dead on. The kid's an absolute star.
And I went around and I talked to a bunch of different media members. Got to talk to Curt Menefee, obviously host on Fox for their Sunday football shows. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. He was very high on Jaden Daniels.
They're a fun team to watch, no question about that. And I think they're going to be a fun team to watch a long time. Jaden Daniels is special, and obviously you guys know that being around him. But it's not just what he can do on the field, which he can make plays with his arm, his legs, that kind of thing. But it's the kind of person he is and the type of leader he is. That I think that this is a guy that, if he's not there already, in 2-3 years, we're going to be talking about him being one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and a guy that not only is that franchise built around, but can become the next face of the league.
You mentioned Jaden Daniels being special. What about it? What makes him special to you?
Because, like so much of being a quarterback in particular is about leadership. And you don't have to yell at guys, you don't have to hug guys, but there's a presence about you that makes guys gravitate towards you. And that's what he has. And it's old school to say it's an it factor, but that's what it is. Like, you can't really say, I'm going to draw this up in a chemistry lab, and this is what it's going to be. You either have it or you don't, and he's got it in dozens.
It's funny, Curt Menefee was talking about, poise is the biggest thing that he's noticed about Jaden. And as we've talked to folks around New Orleans, around the NFL, around the league, different media members, that seems to be the biggest thing that folks are pointing to. And quite frankly, that might be the biggest reason for some of his success on the field.
I'm watching as this dude is, it's not a shoe shine. It's hard to describe what exactly he's doing, but it's interesting. He's like spraying people's shoes with a liquid that I'm going to be honest, I don't want that dude spraying my shoes.
I was going to say, you're wearing some nice J's today. I don't know that you want to do it. We have the guys that are selling the little trinkets here, trying to throw some beads around our necks.
We're going to go behind the curtain here a little bit. We were talking about doing All Ears, which is a live nighttime show.
Yeah.
No.
My question, JP, he's got a lot of beads.
I don't want to know.
Is your shirt coming up or no?
No,
you're playing
I'm
cool
not
and
earning
calm?
any beads. I don't want to know how that fella's got all those beads. I want to get out of here.
Let's get back to the football field.
Back to the football field. So one of the biggest topics going into the season is I had people telling me how confident they were. Commanders had a top 5 receiver room because of Terry and Jahan. Now, obviously, that didn't go that way. Jahan's traded before the season starts to Philly. The demise of Dotson in Washington is one of the most fascinating things to try to crack the code on. He just stopped getting a lot of separation.
Yeah.
But if you go back to his rookie season, he looked so promising. I got to catch up with Jahan at media night. How different is everything nowadays?
A lot different. It's a lot different, but it's really cool. I'm taking it all in, enjoying the process, just enjoying being here, and living every day to the max.
There's no way this is on your mind. A year ago today was when Dan Quinn was hired. Mm-hmm. Like, how much has your life changed in the last year?
A lot. If I wrote a book about the last year of my life, you'd be amazed. But it's been awesome. Through faith, through trusting in the process, trusting in my plans, I'm living out my dreams. So it's honestly a dream come true that I'm able to be here and be where I'm at, knowing the things that I've been through. It's pretty awesome.
I mean, you're at the Super Bowl. Yeah. This has got to feel incredible. I mean, you guys have an opportunity, take down the Chiefs, stop the three-peat. Do you allow yourself to kind of get in that moment?
Yeah, for sure, a little bit. Obviously, early in the week, knowing that you're here. Everything's kind of brand new to me, and then just taking it all in. But we came down here for a game. It's a business trip at the end of the day. We're trying to leave with a ring on our finger.
What was it like playing Washington in the NFC title game to get here?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a great experience, especially coming out on top. It was really cool. We knew they were a good opponent, going to give us a lot of fits, but we managed to come out with a big victory.
Have there been, after the trade and stuff, were you hurt? Were there some low moments there?
I wouldn't say I was hurt. It's all a part of business, and it's a part of your everyday life. You sometimes you get hit with adversity. You got to move on, and just make the most of your opportunities. And that's what I did when I came here. Just trying to make the most of every opportunity I've been dealt with. It's been awesome, and I'm enjoying my time.
And I mean, how do you get ready for this game? I know you guys all approach everything day by day by day, but it's a Super Bowl, dude. I mean, this is nuts. I don't even know what's going on over there. How do you mentally lock in for this?
Being around a bunch of great guys on this team, it's really easy to get caught up in your preparation. That's the thing that guys on this team take very seriously, from the coaching staff down to the players. Everyone prepares like champions. It's the reason that we're here today. It's the reason I'm here today, because we prepare like no other. So we're not going to treat this any differently than the NFC Championship, than the divisional round, than Week 18, Week 17. We're coming in here. We know this is really cool being here, Super Bowl and everything, but we came here to get a victory.
Still like Jahan, really nice guy. When I saw him, he's like, "Yo, JP," we were happy to see each other. I don't know what happened, and it almost seems like he doesn't either. Maybe he's withholding something. He didn't seem thrilled going through training camp. I remember at the Jets practice when it was raining, and he kind of publicly was like, "Well, no." He was like, "I don't know why we're not inside."
I meant going out to the field. You could almost see it.
Well, and the punt return stuff was pretty obvious throughout, even in Ashburn. But at the same time, he's in a Super Bowl. He's a starting receiver in a Super Bowl.
How crazy is
that?
They
go three wideouts. He's the third. So,
and it was cool. Chris Kerwin, Channel 4 photographer, pulled up some old footage of Jahan when he was with the football team. Was he a Redskin? No, he was just football team. And
he might have been just Commanders.
He might have been.
No, he might have been football
I think he was football team and then Commanders. Either way, the burgundy and gold. How about that?
I think he was just a Commander.
Oh, all right, just a Commander.
I think he was the first ever Commander draft pick.
And what was cool about it was Terry McLaurin this year has been doing the peekaboo, and he has a video of Jahan scoring a touchdown in 2022, I believe, and he does the full-on eyes peekaboo dance. So when we get a chance to talk to Terry, we'll have to see if there's any sort of copyright issues with the new touchdown celebration.
I hope not. I hope you can't like Pat Riley copywriting three-peat. Hopefully touchdown celebrations are touchdown celebrations. Mitch, what do you got on? What do you think's on that boat over there on the mighty Mississippi?
I think that's trash. I think that's a trash barge.
Greg, can you show the trash barge?
Yeah, can we spin around and see that trash barge?
Just show some of the. You think that's a trash barge?
I don't know. It's a barge with a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah.
This is the mighty. We're right on the banks of the mighty Mississippi
here.
Mighty
Mississippi.
If Greg pans a little to the right, you'll see a famous steamboat. I got nothing on the steamboat. I was just going to point out Shad Khan's giant yacht. $340 million yacht that is right beyond the steamboat. On Sunday, when Greg and I got here, we did a little walk around the city, got to see a bunch of stuff, and walked by that yacht, and I was like, who could possibly have the amount of dollars to own that one? That dude.
Can you show him Cafe Du Monde over there, Greg, or no chance? Cafe Du Monde, I have much more on. Sorry, you tell me when, Greg. There's Cafe Du Monde, world famous for the beignets. I think
coffee.
They invented them.
I believe it's one of the oldest beignet establishments, but their coffees there are fantastic.
Let's be real. Neither of us actually know.
I know.
You know what?
Ish.
Yeah. Do you know what the ingredient is in the coffee?
Chicory.
Chicory. That's right. I also have no idea what that is, and I don't drink coffee. It's pretty gross.
I believe I had my first cafe au lait when I was there, which was super fancy for me at the time. Now I'm just a straight black coffee man. And
Dotson was interesting. I just wish him success. I don't know what it is. I don't know what his future is in the league. Like if he's got to play in a certain scheme or something.
Right.
But dude, he's now been in a couple different schemes and none of it worked. And I know everything was broken with Menefee, but everything's going pretty damn well in Philly, and it's not going that well for him.
Yeah, listen, Jahan is a very nice person, kid, and I liked getting to know him. I didn't particularly appreciate kind of the moping or whatever was happening kind of during training camp.
Yeah.
There's a level of professionalism you want, but at the end of the day, he's not here in Washington anymore. He's Philly's problem, and you hope that for him, for the person, that he's able to find some success along the way, but it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, we'll see. A couple little football things before we get to our interview with Trevor Sikkema.
Trevor
right?
Sikkema, Pro Football Focus, draft guru, awesome dude. Didn't quite turn to a ton of draft talk, but some good stuff on the Commanders and a little bit of draft.
So one thing, Mitch and I end up doing a bunch of individual interviews in this. That's mostly just a scheduling thing. We're hoping to be able to get some of the more traditional. A dude sits down with me and Mitch, and we have a nice long conversation. The Garrett stuff seems to be getting legs in the speculation department.
Oh yeah,
I had a couple conversations. All I can say specific to Garrett. Whatever is going to happen, if anything happens, is going to take a very, very long time. One, you have to figure out the compensation. Two, his contract with Cleveland,
that's what I was gonna say.
Couldn't move him right now at all. It would be disastrous for them. So you're going to have to work out a new deal, which is also part of what he wants in all of
course.
this. So, there's a lot of moving parts. Nothing's going to happen fast.
And the reason they can't move him is that the Browns are in absolute cap hell.
Right.
They have the Deshaun Watson.
But, dude, they would take a big dead money. Oh,
hello.
You all right?
I'm good.
That
was like a bee or a fly or something.
I think the big man just freaked out about a gnat.
Things are happening. No, it was bigger than a gnat.
It was definitely not a bee. I saw it.
It was bee-sized.
No.
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, we're on television. The truth will be.
We are in high definition 4K, so
Perfect.
We'll have Greg zoom in and he can tell us what it was.
No,
afterwards.
JP Finlay reporting live from Jackson Square. That wasn't a bee.
Right. Just like I'm sure that Cafe Du Monde is the oldest beignet spot in New Orleans. In that year-ish, it's not a bee.
No. I'm positive that was not a bee. I saw it.
Whoa! There's the steamboat. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but that was something.
That's like the cannon.
Yeah. Not quite the same jump from you as the cannon.
I handled that one a little better.
And it's a little bit better than that, but yes.
The last thing, Cooper Kupp reveals, is that another trash barge? They got a lot of long,
There's a lot of
barges down here.
That's something the Mississippi is known for its barges.
Cooper Kupp.
Amongst other things.
Cooper Kupp on his, I think, Twitter revealed he's getting traded. Not particularly interested. I
said it on yesterday's stream. I'm not particularly interested in going the free agent route at wide receiver.
Yeah,
I think there's
trading for him.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Free agent acquiring wide receiver. I want to go through the draft. They're
going to have to sign people just because they don't have enough. They only have two dudes under contract.
I want a little bit better than Olamide Zaccheaus or Noah Brown, but I don't want to go middle to top of the market at wide receiver unless they end up trading for Myles Garrett and lose their first-round picks. Then things change dramatically, but at the moment, that's kind of where I'm at.
The only thing that interests me with Kupp is we keep hearing people say this, even though it's unfounded. I believe it to be true, too, but right now it's just belief that, people are going to want to go to Washington. If Kupp is like, I want to go to Washington, and it's not necessarily a veteran minimum, but it's a 1-year, prove-it, whatever kind of deal, that gets interesting. His contract is all screwed up, too. I feel like the Rams are going to have to end up releasing him. I know they're trying to work out a trade. I don't know what his value is. He misses a ton of time. His last full season was 21 when he almost went for 2,000 yards and they won a Super Bowl, and he was awesome. But he's missed at least 5 games in the last 3 years.
He got full-on Wally pipped by Puka Nacua.
Yeah, totally.
He got hurt. Nacua came in and was great. Puka Nacua was a 5th-round pick. There's nothing that – I'm not saying that you hit on 5th-round picks all the time, but we see rookie receivers step in and do a lot in the NFL these days.
Yeah, so we're both still in on Garrett, kind of both out on Kupp.
Correct.
Kupp check.
Kupp check. Yes.
Kupp check.
Miles check. In.
Miles check. In. Check in. Check out. Here comes Trevor Sikkema.
Let's start with the Commanders as a whole. How surprised were you watching what they did this season?
Well, I mean, for them to make it as far as they did, you have to say that you're surprised, impressed, everything. But to be honest with you, I'm a big Dan Quinn guy. I love the hire, and I felt as though he was going to be great in Washington. I felt like they were at least a year away from what we saw the final result was this year. But I'll tell you, man, Jaden was so unbelievably impressive. There was a moment in the preseason, I was just talking with somebody else about this, where he had a comeback throw in the preseason game against the Dolphins where I go, that's a veteran, full confidence comeback throw right there where you got a risk of a pick six. If you are late, if you are off target at all, that's a pick six, and Jaden just as confident as could be. And then, of course, played well in the Bucs game, although they lost. And then that Bengals game, he goes nuclear, and he has a phenomenal year the rest of the way. So, really, new ownership, general manager, head coach, Jaden Daniels. You almost look at this situation, you go, man, how surprised can I really be that these guys all lined up well, because they went through the entire process of all of those hire-ins very well. So it was just great to see them have that kind of success early.
And you were a guy that had a lot of good things to say about Jaden pre-draft.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at the meteoric rise that he had during the season?
No question about it. And again, you look at the landing spot, and the pairing was perfect with him and Cliff Kingsbury. And, Jaden was somebody who I had QB3 in last year's draft. I had Caleb Williams, and I had Drake May ranked ahead of him. And when I watched Jaden, it wasn't to take anything away from the incredible Heisman season that he had, but he had Malik Neighbors to throw to. He had Brian Thomas Jr., which everybody now knows. Brian Thomas Jr. just as legit as Malik Neighbors was, and it was a potent offense. And I go, man, how realistic is it that we plop you into the NFL and you are still that kind of quarterback in a brand new environment? Very unlikely. There's a lot of quarterbacks where that's the case. You look at Drake and Caleb, guys who I think are very, very talented, but just the confidence wasn't quite there. They're figuring it out as rookies. And Jaden, just his fun, love, and style, how confident he was and how much he believed in his own abilities. You saw that from him so much this year. And so that's honestly what I was impressed with the most, because it's that confidence part that is often – it takes the longest to get, especially at the quarterback position with so much on your plate. And for him to show you that confidence as a rookie, unbelievable to see. Hat off to him.
When you put on your glasses 5 years from now, 10 years from now, do you think we're going to look at the Jaden Daniels, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors trio versus Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson, and kind of compare the two as being pretty similar?
I can see the social graphics now. Who you got? And it's just all the six of those guys. No, but I think that to even be in that conversation is special. And I don't know if the stats are exactly going to line up that way because of how great that entire team has been. There's no doubt. But it's to be even in that conversation, for you to even ask that question, which is not far-fetched at all to ask. I mean, it's something that's pretty special. So they've obviously got a couple years for how great Justin and Jamar and Joe Burrow have been with a little bit of longevity here. But the talent level, man, it's right there, and we're seeing it at the highest level with so many of those guys.
And just going back to Jaden real quick and kind of his growth this season, What's the next big step for him as he kind of looks towards going to that next level of, being in the conversation with Mahomes and the best in the league?
I'll tell you what's going to happen. The defensive coordinator is going to punch back because they always do, right? When you're a rookie, there's some tape on you, and obviously as you go throughout the season, there's more things that defensive coordinators can look at. But having a full off season to go, okay, this is this guy's tendencies. This is where he was rattled a little bit. Can we exploit this a little bit? It is so difficult to always stay one step ahead. And the great quarterbacks have always found a way to stay one step ahead of some brilliant defensive coordinators in this league. So to me, these next 2 years are paramount. Is there a little bit, and that's not to say if he struggles next year a little bit, it's not to say now we've got buyer's remorse on the guy. It's just that's really what you're looking for. As defensive coordinators start to identify what your weaknesses might be, can you eliminate them before you even have to pay for it when the ball is kicked off? That's the important part of progressions of what makes a great rookie season turn into a great career and get you in the conversation with a Joe Burrow, a Lamar Jackson, a Justin Herbert, a Josh Allen, and a Patrick Mahomes, those guys.
It's funny you bring up that kind of second-year stuff because Commanders fans, after 30 years of troubles and dark clouds, are always waiting for that second, the shoe to drop, something bad to happen. And they talk about C.J. Stroud having a down second year. C.J. Stroud went out and won a playoff game, so it's almost hard to say that. Do you think Jaden's kind of on that similar trajectory to C.J.?
Yeah, no, I think that, and it doesn't necessarily mean that, he's going to have a bad year like CJ did, but to me, he's absolutely in that conversation, right? When I think of tiers of quarterbacks already, and I was saying this towards the end of the season, even before that last game that they lost in the NFC Championship game, when you think of tiers and buckets of quarterbacks, you think of Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson as the guys who are probably in that tier one. I think Justin Herbert's sort of on that fringe. You can put him in one bucket or the other. But the next bucket, it's CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott at his best. It's Jaden Daniels. He is in that tier 2 already of quarterbacks that is right, and that's how we have to talk about him. So there's no doubt about it. He is on that same level that CJ Stroud was. And CJ had a little bit of a down year, but there's more that went into that as well. The interior offensive line was really bad for them this year, and it was tough for them to navigate the pressure. You lose Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. That's tough for any quarterback to deal with. So tough offensive line, missing some of your big playmakers. Any quarterback would struggle. But CJ is still one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. So is Jaden.
As Commanders fans and media, we've been covering the draft forever. It's always been what quarterback are they going to draft, where are they going to go. This year they're picking 29. It's a different world for us to navigate, trying to throw a dart and figure out who's there. But some of their needs, offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver, probably corner, or some of the big spots. At the end of the first round, and maybe even in the second round, what are some of those positions a little bit stronger than others as we start looking at this year's draft?
Yeah, I think that they're going to have an opportunity to hit wide receiver, corner, edge rusher. Like, all of those positions are going to be plentiful for them. It's just going to be who fits them the best. When you look at edge rushers, is it a guy like Kyle Kennard from South Carolina? Is it JT Tuimoloau, a Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, a Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College? Like, these are guys that I think they will have the opportunity to pick there. If it's wide receiver, a Matthew Golden, an Alec Iomaner, like those types of players that could make sense for them as a guy who could really help out the offense and sort of where it already is in the passing game. And then when you look at corners, maybe a Benjamin Morrison, who I thought could be a top 20 player before he got hurt this past year. Hip injury, so we'll kind of have to figure out like how his hip is, but he's somebody who might be available there. Savon Ravel, the cornerback from East Carolina, I think is in that conversation as well. Just so you're going to have a lot of options there at the back end of the back end of the first round to get the exact type of player you want. There's a lot of different styles of players at each position, so I think the Commanders are honestly in a really great spot.
It feels like wide receivers are starting to hit at a higher rate through the draft. I mean, obviously, Puka Nacua is the gold standard there in the fifth round. But when you think about kind of roster building, would you build at the skill position, at those skill positions through the draft, or do you think free agency is a way to go? How would you go about that?
So I would often tell you that if you have trench needs, you want to build the trenches through the draft, because it is few and far between that you actually have the opportunity to acquire one of those guys outside of the top 50 or even in the pro market. Wide receiver and corner is different, especially wide receiver. I tell people all the time, not that I'm trying to devalue the wide receiver position. It's very important. But you look at guys, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill. Like, there's talks of Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf. Like, all the Cooper Kupp, right, is on the market right now. You have the opportunity to trade for these players. They become available. And wide receivers, like in the draft, they're deep every single year. So that's not to say don't go after one. It's not to say don't prioritize one. But if you have trench needs, just my philosophy as a draft guy is that you often want to invest first-round picks in those players, because top impact pass rushers don't hit the market. Top impact pass protectors don't hit the trade block. Right? You have to draft those guys and develop them and keep them on your football team in order to have those high-impact players.
There is one elite pass rusher that seems to be hitting the trade market with Myles Garrett. Yeah. I'm not asking you to break down the trade valuation charts, but would you give up 2 first-rounders, especially considering you expect those to be kind of back end of the first round for a guy like Myles?
That's the thing. No questions asked. I would absolutely trade for Myles Garrett. He was PFF's Defensive Player of the Year this year. It's his 4th year in a row that he's had elite overall grades. It's his 6th year in a row that he has had elite pass rush grades, and he is still in his prime, and he addresses a major need for this team. I think it would cost at least 2 first-round picks to acquire him. But if you're Washington, you're absolutely doing that, because they're picking back into the first round this year, and then you're hoping next year their pick starts with the number 3, right? And so, like, that's what you're hoping. And you would take 2 late first-round picks all day for Myles Garrett, especially in a defense with Dan Quinn, who clearly knows how to use players like that because of the monster that Micah Parsons was when he was the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. So it ain't like he's not going to know what to do with a guy who is that talented. So to me, yes, Washington is one of those teams where I think that'll probably be around what the price is. A couple of first-round picks, maybe a second-round pick as well, depending on if you're throwing a player back to Cleveland, because it would take, not to get too deep into the weeds of the trade price here, but it would take Cleveland a lot for them to move him just salary cap-wise to make sure they're cap compliant. So it's going to take a lot. You're going to have to make it worth Cleveland's while, but I think it would be for Washington.
Well, Cleveland is a mess in the cap world, but that's a different story for a different day. You mentioned next year's draft pick possibly starting with a 3. Are you predicting a Commanders run to the Super Bowl next year?
I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to make the Super Bowl, but I do think this is a team where even you look at what happened in the NFC Championship games, they don't have those handful of turnovers, and it's anybody's game at the very end. And I truly believe that, even with it being in Philly, even for as well as Philadelphia played. And this is a team that I predicted them to go 7-10 this year. And I thought I was high on Washington, right? I thought I was like, hey, you know what? That'd be a pretty good year for them. And I felt like I had one of the higher record total or win totals for them this season. And they obviously blew that out of the water, had an unbelievable year. So you have to operate with this team to think that, all right, they are ahead of schedule. So like Dan Campbell says with the Detroit Lions, it's harder to get back. So I can't sit here and say, well, next year they should be better. That means Super Bowl. You never know. It's always tough, especially when you're not the underdog now, especially when they're going to have a target on their back. But Dan Quinn's the type of coach that I think is going to have them ready. So it is absolutely worth saying, like, hey, division, well within reach next year, even with the Eagles in it. Hey, getting back to the NFC Championship game, absolutely within reach for this team. It's just a matter of, hey, does the ball bounce their way? Do they play a clean brand of football? And can they get a little bit better next year?
Last one for me, and this is sort of throwing a dart, but as you look at the free agency class, the guys that are going to be available, is there anyone that you see that you look at and you're like, that guy is a perfect fit in Washington. He's a perfect fit with Dan Quinn or with Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, I mean, I just keep going back to the wide receivers. Like, I think T would be a great compliment. T. Higgins, I think he'd be a great compliment to what they already have at receiver. Like, not just for Terry McLaurin to be able to then play sort of that flanker Z off the line of scrimmage, you move him all around the formation type of a player, but you got Diami Brown, who's also that vertical threat there as well. You're hoping that Ben Sennett can kind of take that next step as that hybrid sort of wing back, tight end, full back type of a player to you, and you just really round that out. So to me, I know it's the answer that feels like it's talked about all the time, but I think that this needs to be a talked about landing spot for a guy like T. Higgins.
So I lied. You brought up T. Higgins. Are you willing to pay him? Do you think that is it worth the amount of money that it's going to cost to sign him? Because I imagine he's going to be, up there in the Justin Jefferson type world, even though, ranking wise, I think, Justin Jefferson's a better player.
Yeah. So again, like it kind of depends on how you feel the draft is going to go. Like, again, I know that salary cap, a lot of people say it's a myth, but you do have to abide by it. And so I just got done saying that it feels like you can get wide receivers all the time, but so you would sometimes think, all right, well, does that mean you have some hesitancy paying them? I do a little bit, but if you could tell me you can get a T. Higgins, you can get Jack Sawyer at the back end of the first round, okay, I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Like, that addresses two major needs for you. You'll probably be able to go get a corner either this year or next year to really complete the team. So to me, I would think that price tag for Higgins could be worth it for them because of where they are as a team. As a team starting out, if you're going to waste like the first 2-ish years of his deal where you're paying him a lot of money just to build up the team, like I wonder that about the Patriots, right? Patriots, yes, absolutely could use an alpha wide receiver. Are you really going to be there as a team to where half of his contract, are you just going to be building the team anyways? Washington's a different story. They're hitting the ground running right when they get him.
You mentioned Jack Sawyer, Ohio State linebacker, perfect Dan Quinn guy.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if that happens. But thank you so much.
Of course. Appreciate you having me.
Sickman's always a good guest, really knowledgeable dude, just easy to talk to. We got streams coming all week. We're going to be another stream on Wednesday, another stream on Thursday, another stream on Friday, another stream
Today's
Saturday.
actually Wednesday,
another
so
stream. Today's
Thursday.
Tuesday, dog.
For the stream, it's Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Ish.
Today's Wednesday. We'll have another one tomorrow. Then
Today
we have
is
the
tonight.
pregame shows Saturday and Sunday airing.
When are these pods going out?
The pods are out now.
So will this
You're getting a look behind the scenes here.
on TV? It's Wednesday. What day is this for a podcast?
The Tuesday, the stream that's airing today at 5 p.m. is the same as the podcast for Tuesday. The stream that airs Wednesday at 5 p.m. is the podcast on Wednesday. The stream that airs on Thursday at 5 p.m. is the podcast for Thursday.
I feel like my brain's exploding.
You know
Everybody
what?
enjoy the
here's
content.
The thing.
We gotta go. There's a giant boat headed our way.
Yeah.
Did you have something else there?
This is why you're the pretty face. Just host the show, do a great job of getting those awesome interviews. We'll take care of everything behind the scenes.
Greg, we're gonna say goodbye. Show them that giant boat.
One more giant
down
boat coming your way.
The mighty Mississippi.
If you made it this far, we owe you a barge.